Hi, everybody. What we're going to talk about today is how to complete the background of your representational shoe drawing. And in order to do that, I wanted to introduce you to two artists. I'm going to be introducing them to you one at a time. This is Hilma af Klint, and when Hilma af Klint began her work as an artist, she was doing botanicals, as you can see to the left right here. This is an example of her work, and she was actually extremely successful at it. And Hilma af Klint was born around 1867 or 1865, something like that. So the fact is for a woman to be able to create work on her own, have a very, very successful artistic career, says a lot for the kind of artist that she was. But the thing about Hilma af Klint is she did something really interesting. She was very, very curious woman, and she was very much an intellectual, and she would attend science lectures and she would attend seances. And it may seem a little strange to put the two together, but you have to remember this is in the 1890s. The electron was just understood and discovered in 1897. So science and connecting science to spirituality was not something that was so strange back in the 1890s. Attending a seance was very much something that an intellectual would attend and would be interested in. So what happened at her seances, which makes her quite unusual, is that she says that she was told how to proceed in her artwork. And she went from this type of work to this type of work. This was not being done at that time, not in 1900. And this is a whole series of swan drawings that she called them, that she created. Here's another one. But nobody was doing work like this. Nobody was doing these large-scale paintings of color and abstraction and forms. So if we look at the first one that I showed you, this was really out of the norm. She was the only one. And she says that she was being told. I wanted to share this one in particular with you because she called these the 10 largest, and they were painted in 60 days. Now just look at how large they are, because you can see these are people. This is in the Guggenheim Museum, and you can see these are unusually large. They're 10 feet. And she painted them together in 60 days. So we're not talking about a lot of time, because she says she was told how to paint them, what to do, and she literally went from beginning to end. And what I didn't share with you is she was 5 feet. And she was also hiding this type of work because she knew that if she were to show it to anyone at that time, she would have been considered crazy. So she recognized that the audience, people, would not be able to understand her work, would not be able to understand something so non-representational, something that came from this center, from this spirituality center of hers, and unfolded like that anybody would not be able to understand that. So she hid them. She actually hid her work in a farmhouse and ended up leaving them to her nephew, who she left stipulated in her will he was not to share them with the public until 40 years after her death. So we first learned about Hilma af Klint in 1986, but she created this work back in 1904 to 1920s and beyond that into the 1940s. This particular work that she was creating, that she called, there were paintings for the temple, was done in between that time of 1904 to 1918 or something like that. So she kept thousands of pages in journals of what these symbols each meant. And she recorded everything and she documented. We don't know anything about her personal life, but we do know what each painting meant to her because she wrote it down exactly. For example, the snail or the spiral represented the development of evolution. The eyelet and the hook, blue and yellow, and the lily and the rose represented femininity and masculinity, respectively. W stands for matter, while U stands for spirit. So these are the things that she says that she was being told to put down and to share at a later time with everybody years after her death. So, many people call her the first abstraction, mother of abstraction. This can be considered a debatable term because unlike Kandinsky, who I'm going to show you afterwards, who really made a decision to go from representational work to non-representational work consciously, this was a more unconscious decision that came from a different place. So I don't know whether or not it really matters. Is it because it came from an inner part of who she is? Does that make her the first abstract pioneer? Or do we say that the one who was more conscious of this development in painting, that he is the father of abstraction?